so that the recording artist Prince just offers solutions to the problems in the black community. Yesterday at a concert in Baltimore billed Rally for Peace, the recording artist known as Prince kicked off the show with his hit Let's Go Crazy. Later, he invited state's attorneys for Baltimore City, Marilyn Mosby, to join him on the stage. And toward the end of the show, he remarked to the crowd, "Next time I come to Baltimore, I want to stay at a hotel owned by one of you." Now, I actually wholeheartedly agree with Prince. In order to really change one's life, individuals must own their actions and assets that buy better educations, that buy better living conditions. Joining us now is Jehmu Greene. She's a Democratic strategist and Fox News contributor. All right, Jehmu, I mean, you heard the message. I mean, why don't we hear that message from more black leaders or so-called black leaders that ownership? Now, I don't know if he's talking about individual ownership of their own actions, but I think that's where it begins.
Well, I think he certainly was laser focused on black businesses. When Prince speaks, I listen, and usually I dance. I think that it's great that he has engaged in the conversation in Baltimore, and he's right. It is about black businesses. If you look at even black banks, in 1987, there were 91 black-owned banks. There are now 24. This is a problem. Now, what is contributing to that problem? How can we as a society help move that along? And then what's the individual responsibility? Those are all a part of the equation. I don't think it's all on the individual. I think there are things that we can do from a quality education
to help grow
black businesses. Where does it begin? Quality education for sure.
No, but what about the individual's role? Where does that come into play?
Well, the individual roles, hopefully you have parents who are encouraging you to look at ownership as something that is a good thing, something that should be aspired to. And I think, in a sense, that's what Michelle Obama did in a commencement speech earlier this week, and is getting some flack from conservatives, because she said, no matter how someone tries to knock you down, you keep going and you keep trying to realize your dreams.
I also heard Michelle Obama talk about museums having to do more to get black people to come to them, and I thought that was a little embarrassing. You know, that the museum has to lure you. Again, I think the parents are the individual. But let me ask you, Eric, because you were extraordinarily vocal. I read some of the things that you talked about on the route, particularly with Eric Garner, and how you felt about that. You know, we heard President Obama give a 6-point explanation, or his answer to what happened to Baltimore. We've heard all the pleas for different things, from higher taxes to whatever. But I rarely hear anyone say, hey, black people have to take control of their own destiny.
Well, I disagree with that. A lot of people are encouraging other African Americans to take control of their destiny. I, for one, am definitely part of that equation, because we are people who are voting, we're business owners, and we're really invested in the outcome of cases such as this particular Baltimore case, as well as any other issue. So I disagree with you on that, Charles.
Monica, what do you think? How do you feel about it?
Well, when I heard Prince say that, I said, first of all, I've been a fan of Prince's for 30 years, and I really liked what he had to say there. Look, when you look back over the last, 50 years, and I look at the black community and how decimated it's been, especially in the inner city, I attribute it to progressive left-wing policies that have really cultivated government dependence, particularly in the black community, but not exclusively to the black community. When you look at Jack Kemp in the 1980s and 1990s, he went into the black communities and he was talking about uprooting progressive policies, but replacing them with an activist role of government, but in the other direction, reducing the tax burden to try to get black businesses started and going, and supporting entrepreneurship zones so that blacks who wanted to start their own businesses had the support and the structure of the government by backing off and letting that creativity take root.
You consider yourself a progressive, right?
Oh, for sure.
Why is Monica wrong? Because I happen to agree with her 1,000% on this.
I think there are parts of what Monica said that are right, but I think we also have to look at, there was a time in this country that black businesses were thriving. Now, what has happened to remove that dynamic from these communities? A part of it was integration, and when integration started to happen, black businesses lost that base of support. But society wasn't fully integrated from an economic standpoint, from an education standpoint, and how do we make sure that that integration is fully happening so that those black businesses can continue to thrive?
I wanted to bring up tomorrow, because a Wisconsin prosecutor is set to announce whether a white police officer is going to face charges for killing an unarmed biracial man in Madison. The city, of course, has been on edge, but we should note that the protests up to date have all been peaceful. Now, these days, indictments have been seen as victories. But should they be done for political purposes? Eric, a lot of people feel that The state's attorney general in Baltimore rushed to judgment. Now, maybe some hail her as a hero because the rioting stopped and some people felt like maybe they had a greater belief in a criminal justice system. What do you think about tomorrow, and how should these cases be handled?
First of all, a district attorney is a politician. That's the first thing. Secondly, she was investigating this case for weeks before we even knew about it, actually. So to say that she rushed to judgment, that's a lot of political maneuvering by talking heads and other people who lost in that election. So I don't necessarily buy that. And we have to remember that when people are murdered, generally they're arrested within the first 2 days. So this case lingered for 2 weeks before an arrest was made. So she had plenty of time to investigate, and she had a lot of people to talk to, and she did.
All right, Monica, I mean, what do you make of it?
Well, first of all, we don't know what happened to Freddie Gray. That investigation is ongoing, just like we didn't know what happened to Michael Brown until months later when the investigation by the Holder Justice Department had been finished. But my issue with...
Although when the local police department or criminal justice system said we're not going to indict this, people were upset. Right. And then it was only when the Obama administration said, you know what, there's really nothing here.
And there is a political dimension to this. The problem is when you have a district attorney or a state's attorney like Marilyn Mosby, when she comes out and says, I'm going to seek justice for Freddie Gray, her job is not to do that. Her job is to seek justice
that's not true.
Across
no, that's
the
not true.
Wait a minute. Her job is to seek justice. Justice is supposed to be blind.
They try to seek justice for victims. That's their job.
But what about the...
Are you joking?
Wait a minute. Justice is supposed to be blind, sir, in this country, and that means she is supposed to dispassionately seek. Excuse me. She is supposed to dispassionately seek justice for the police officers, for Freddie Gray, in a dispassionate, objective way.
I don't know
this
one
is not
DA
about
who
the
has not
people in
said
the
they're going to
streets.
seek
That's
justice
not
for a
her
victim.
job.
Real quick,
that is her job, is to seek justice for victims.
No, it's not.
Look, I think
yes, for victims across
Hold on one second, Eric.
We have a responsibility that when these cases happen, we need to let her try her case on the evidence. What we can do in these conversations is talk about not just this one isolated case and put all of our eggs into this basket, but to talk about what are the systemic issues that are driving towards this and how, as politicians, as media, as commentators, we can contribute to a better situation.
Jehmu, thank you very much. Eric Guster, you were fantastic. Both of you guys, appreciate you coming on. Monica Crowley sticking around with us just for a little while longer.